How do? My name is Andrew Hancock and I am a VMware technical architect from Yorkshire in the United Kingdom. I have worked with VMware since their birth in 1998, so that has now been over 24 years I've been working with the VMware product catalogue. Some of my colleagues may say, if you cut Andy in half, it reads VMware like a stick of rock from Blackpool Pleasure Beach. I have now written 130 articles and recorded over 10 hours of VMware vSphere videos for Experts Exchange, and received 40 Expert Exchange awards over the last 10 years working with the Expert Exchange community. I am currently the overall #1 point earner in the Hall of Fame. I am honoured to have been accepted into the VMware vExpert program since 2011, and more recently a VMware vExpert Pro for the last 3. Hello and welcome back to 2022, another year in the VMware Hancock's half hour Experts Exchange Lab. And welcome back, and I hope that you've had time to catch up on the 20 previous videos that I produced for you in 2021. So now June, time is getting on, and it's time to get back to the lab and to have a little look at the next series that I'm going to do for you in the next 20 videos. And in the previous 20 videos, and I'll put the links in the description below for you if you haven't already seen them, we covered some very basic, simplistic things, I think, for VMware vSphere. So now we're going to kind of start ramping it up a little bit, and we're going to move from maybe novice to maybe we'll call it intermediate. And with that, I think I'm going to start looking at things like shared storage, NFS and iSCSI provisioning, and the reason I want to leverage shared storage is that we can actually start looking at some other features and technology within VMware vSphere. Without shared storage, we can't do things like vMotion, we can't do things like HA, we can't do things like DRS. So I want to bring all those things into the lab. I also this year actually want to bring in some more hosts into the lab so that we can build a cluster, and we can do some EVC baselines, and I can show you virtual machines migrating from host to host and across storage as well. So we're back here. It's been a while, this particular lab. It's been off for about 10 months, and as you can imagine, things move on in the real world, and VMware has produced 10 months worth of updates. So I leave it exactly where we left it in part 20, where we added our ESXi 007 Dell PowerEdge R730 single host to our vCenter server. And I've powered it all back on, and the keen eye amongst you, if you look carefully, may have noticed that I've just very sneakily leveraged in virtual NAS, lab NAS, into the environment as well. And you can have a little look at future videos as to how we start to leverage that NAS in this environment as well. So one of the first things really that I actually wanted to cover in this video today is how we easily update vCenter Server 7. And you may notice that there you will see a couple of things. Occasionally there's a blue banner which appears at the top of the screen here which says there are updates available, and if you actually look at if you highlight the very top, which will be the name of your vCenter server. In this lab, my vCenter server is called vCenter7.cyrus-consultants.co.uk, and that's its FQDN. Do I have to say any more about FQDN this year? And if we look over here, you can see that it says version 7.02 and build 183.56314, and it says updates available. And if I click updates available, hopefully, fingers crossed, it will show me the updates that are currently available. So there are currently 6 updates. So since this lab was turned off last year in roughly May, June, July, August, I think was the last, August, September, I think were the last videos that I did that I submitted to Expert Exchange. I do have a couple of other videos that I can't bring my heart at the moment really to actually publish, and the reason that is because in those videos was starring my lovely ginger boy Angus, and sadly Angus passed away of a heart failure in September 2021, and it's still very raw. So they're left, and they're left at the moment, and I haven't done any post-processing on them, and we'll have to see what I do with those in the future. They're on the cutting room floor at the moment. Anyway, I digress. So we can see that we have 6 updates available to us since last year, and this is the reason why I like to leave my labs in the sort of kind of state. I don't upgrade them whilst they're off. I like to turn them back on again to actually show you in real life, you know, what we actually encounter when you turn it all back on again, and how you sort of kind of update them, and to show you how we update them. If we just sort of kind of came back to this video and I just turned around and said, oh, here we are, we're running the latest and the greatest, you don't get to see how we do these updates. So we don't have to, I get this question comes up a few times on Experts Exchange, as to do we have to apply all the individual updates, because we'd be here all day long doing it. The answer is no. All the updates are cumulative. Cumulative, is that a word? Cumulative. I can't even say the word, and I'm only drinking orange juice. So you don't have to apply that update followed by that update followed by that, etc. The latest update contains all the previous updates. So all we have to do is apply the latest update, which was released in May, 12th of May 2022, which is 7.03.600 or 197.17403. That one there. Now, it doesn't actually update your vCenter server from within the vCenter server interface. All this is an update planner, which will generate a report for us and tell us basically that I can't actually generate that report because I haven't actually turned on the customer experience program. So let me just go back again and see whether or not that I can actually run the prerequisite update. So I want to do that update, generate report, pre-update checks. Now this will just tell you things like your root password's expired, your administrator at vCenter local password is expired. It will catch those things because that you need to check that those passwords have not expired before you actually do your update, and it will actually tell you if you try to do the update and the password's expired. It will come up and turn around and say, sorry, your password's expired, you need to change your password now. So it will capture those errors. So for the sake of a few seconds, it really is just worth hitting that button and turn around and say, do me some pre-update checks please on that vCenter server. And obviously you can see here I've got a brown message that's popped up that says they're expired or expired license in your inventory. Yes, 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 we know. And if I move forward, here we go. Here's the blue banner I was talking about that talks about new vCenter server updates are available. And if you click that button there, it does nothing. Normally it actually takes you to, let's try another location. Normally if you click updates, okay, yeah. So if you click updates, it takes you back to exactly the same place that when we click updates there, and it takes you to the update planner, and you can see the updates that are available. So again, we just ran the pre-update check, and it turned around and told us that everything was okay, not a problem. But we don't do the update from here. If we go back to summary and we click Appliance Management, the Appliance Management will open up a URL connection, a browser connection to the same vCenter 7.cyrus-consultants.co.uk, but it will use port 5480, which we used to used to associate and call the VAMI interface. I'm not quite sure whether or not that we still say the VAMI interface anymore. I'll have to get back to you and check that. I'll put a note. I'll write a note down in my book, and I'll drop a note in the description. Do we actually call it the VAMI interface anymore, and what VAMI means? So this is the appliance management for your vCenter server. You may not have seen this before. Now, the reason I'm going to draw your attention to this is because, one, this is how we do the update, and one of the things I also wanted to show you is when you do the update, it will prompt you and say, have you done a backup? Now, what it means is, have you actually backed up the configuration database of tasks and events of the vCenter server? Not have you done a backup of the virtual machine, which you could also do, but have you actually backed up the configuration? In the event that all goes wrong, you could just deploy vCenter 7 again from your ISO, restore the backup, and you're done. So I just wanted to draw your attention to that functionality, which is actually built into vCenter server now, and it's been a while. And I'm actually backing up here to our NFS. You can back up to an NFS server, a CIF server, a Windows server, a HTTP server, an FTP server. We just happen to have an NFS server. I already spoke about it, LabNAS. It's already configured. I'll just show you roughly the quick configuration. So this is the backup location. This is the username, the password, what time we wanted to back it up. We can encrypt the backup, enable the health check, retain all the backups, stats and events, etc. So that will just run on the schedule automatically and back up your vCenter server database. Not the entire vCenter server, just its database. So just for belts and braces, I'm just going to click backup now. And if I just tick that box that says use the backup location already is scheduled, and I've got to enter a password. And again, in dedication there to Angus, my jeans are Tom. Bless him. I'm just going to basically put Angus, and we'll let that back up. Now, one of the other belts and braces things that I like to do as well is I actually like to create a snapshot of the virtual machine. Obviously, VCSA is a virtual machine. So as it's a virtual machine, we can do all the virtual machine functions that we can normally. And as you can see here, the backup, the version I'm currently running is 7.0 U2C. And now we're on about 3D or 3E. So there have been lots of changes over the past 10 months. A lot of them security fixes that have come out. So you can quickly see that that is backing up the database quite happily and all the events and tasks. So whilst it's doing that, it's just about to finish that. I'm actually going to go over here, back to my GUI, and I'm just going to basically create a snapshot. I don't want to include the memory, and that's just say before upgrade to do 7.0.2D. Not a fan of snapshots, really not a fan of snapshots. One of the big issues with snapshotting is people forget about them, and it does actually reduce the performance of your virtual machines when it's running on a snapshot. And you can test this if you want in your own time. You can do an upgrade on a snapshot, you can do an upgrade without a snapshot, and you will see that there is a considerable difference in time in doing the two. I'm just doing it because in the event that things don't go wrong, we can revert the snapshot and we can try again. However, I must say that after all these years, vCenter Server 7 is very good. We see very few failures in upgrades today. The product really has come on leaps and bounds. So okay, our backup has completed. We have a snapshot, okay, before upgrade to 7.02D. In fact, actually it's 7.03D, typo. So back to our VAMI interface, and I'm going to click update. and hopefully, fingers crossed, occasionally I have seen issues whereby I get some horrible error messages appearing here, and hopefully this time I'm just going to get a spinny disk and it's going to pull those updates and it's going to tell me which one I can update to. And hopefully in this VMware Hancock half hour, we've been running now for about 14 minutes, hopefully we'll be able to get this in under 20-30 minutes. Okay, good. So it's always worth sorting here, sorting the version orders, because so we want to go to 7.0.3.00600, and we can do a couple of things here. Now, word of warning, these updates, some of the smaller updates can take minutes, some of the larger updates can take several hours. As this is a big step from 7.02.00300 to 7.03.00600, it's a fairly chunky update. I would anticipate that it probably is going to take a couple of hours. So just schedule that into your out of core hours service. It's not going to affect your virtual machines. Your virtual machines are still going to run, but anything that uses vCenter server in terms of management, i.e. Veeam, I do see a lot of people basically forget that they've got Veeam that is attached to vCenter server running at 3 AM in the morning, or whatever time, and if vCenter server is not available, then all your backups are going to fail. So just bear that in mind. It's not going to affect your virtual machines. Your virtual machines and your hosts are still going to carry on hosting, but it is going to affect any management. So if you're in a very large VMware vSphere team where you've got 12 or 13 people that are using vCenter server, then just beware, sometimes it can take a couple of hours. So we can do stage only, or we can do stage and install. So stage only basically will go off and it will download all the updates, put them on your server and wait for you to click the button to say install it please. Or you can do stage and install all in one go. So here we're just basically going to go stage and install. I'm going to accept the terms of the license agreement followed by next. Again, it's going to run these pre-update checks. Now we've already done this, so hopefully we shouldn't see any problems here. Okay, good. It's going to ask me to join the VMware Customer Experience Program. Okay, I must probably untick that at some point. So I'm going to say yes. Okay, go off and do that. Okay, so now it's telling me estimated downtime is 544 minutes. It's probably a bit longer than 2 hours, as I suggested, but please take that time with a pinch of salt. It has been reported back to VMware that their estimated downtime is rather out, but we have actually suggested to them that we would actually much rather than fix more serious issues than something really that's very cosmetic. Okay, here's this tick box that I was talking about. Now, a lot of us are flying by the seat of our pants and we're tick happy, and we just click tick, 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 finish, carry on doing it, and we haven't actually backed it up at all. You can't actually click finish unless you tick that button. So I already showed you that we have backed it up. You don't have to back it up, but believe you me, I think really you've got the functionality built into vCenter server to be backing itself up every night. Those tasks and events and the configuration, it's not really any excuse anymore really to be doing that. So we've backed that up and we're going to click finish, and hopefully the installation is going to start. Now it turned around and said it was going to take 544 minutes, so I'm going to put the stopwatch on, and that's running. Probably what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn off the cam, I'm going to turn off the mic, I'm going to let this run, I'll capture it all, I'll speed it up in post edit, and then I'll come back at the very end when we do finish, restart, and you can effectively see the updated version. Halfway through, like at the moment, obviously you can see it's just the downloading. When it actually starts getting to installing, it stops all the services, and you'll disappear back to the login prompt on the appliance. And a couple of people I know have spoken to me about this, and they get a bit panicky because they can't really see what's happening. Have faith. If it's downloading, stops all the services, you're not going to continue to see it complete until you log back in again. And sometimes it may actually take a few times to log back in, and then eventually you will see it come up and say 100% completed. So don't panic, don't restart, don't stop, go for a coffee break, come back, log in, and all will be well. Anyway, I've gabbed on for long enough. So I'm going to turn the cam and I'm going to turn the mic off. I'll speed this up in post edit, and I'll come back to you. Hopefully, lovely green tick, 100% completed, while it downloads all these RPM bits and bobs, stops all the services, installs them all, restarts all the services, and then we're going to have a nice new shiny 7.03D vCenter server for us to carry on with all the other videos that I'm going to produce for you. Oh, and you may have noticed that the hair's grown a bit and the beard has grown a bit since the last time you saw me in August, September 2021. It does feel like such a long time ago. Anyway, I will be back shortly, so don't go away. Okay, we're back. So by my reckoning, 47 minutes. So not 552 minutes. Which, as I said, it is known. It has been reported to VMware, and we have suggested that we'd much rather some more important fixes in some of the other product lines rather than just changing something cosmetic. Okay, so the installation succeeded. Installation complete. Nice little tick box. So click close. And we'll log back on again to the VAMI interface, and we can clearly see that it says version 7.03.00600, and obviously if I check updates, it's not going to find any updates. Okay, good. And let's go back and log in to our existing I'm glad it's done that into our vSphere session. Okay, now you will often see when the services have been restarted on a vCenter server brackets appliance. It can take between 15 to 30 minutes depending upon the underlying storage, and of course remember that I've got this running on a snapshot at the moment, so the performance of vCenter server is going to be even worse. And you will see that in the first 15 to 30 minutes it takes a while for all the services to come up, and you will see something like no healthy upstream. Don't panic, patience. It's just waiting to start all the services. You can, if you want, we can log on direct to, okay, so I'm not going to be able to do that because I've got Bitdefender blocking it at the moment. But I was just going to show you that if you actually logged on direct to the host server and you actually look at the performance, you will see that it's quite likely that the CPU is actually bottlenecking at 100% and the memory is actually increasing while it starts all the services, reads the database. Nothing to worry about. This is a usual observation of the startup, which takes between 15 to 30 minutes for vCenter server appliance to actually start all the services and to get going. So I'm just going to refresh again, see whether or not that changes. No. Okay, so I'm just going to disappear again, and I'll come back in a minute when we can basically log back into vCenter server and check everything is running correctly, and then we'll remove that snapshot. But just one thing I am going to do, I'm just going to take a backup again now, since we've actually done the installation. Just sort of kind of belts and braces. Now this possibly at the moment, obviously all the services are starting up. It's thrashing the disk, it's thrashing the NAS, this, and it's also running on a snapshot as well. This may break, or just, okay, so it is actually starting. I don't want to save any of those passwords. And okay, so it's actually basically started back up. Okay, got it wrong. It wasn't D, it was E. 7.0 U3E or 7.03E is the current version that we're actually now running. So, without further ado, I'm just going to disappear again. I'm just going to do one more refresh. No, it's still thinking about it. Okay, I'm going to come back shortly. Just wanted to jump back in again. So we've moved on slightly now in the initialization process. No healthy upstream has been replaced by the vCSA client web server is initializing. So everything is normal. As you can see there, it says please drag in shortly, and basically everything's started up. Good. So it's just waiting for me to actually put the password in. That's just LastPass there that's trying to automatically put passwords in. So I'm going to log in with my super password if I can remember it. Now at this point, if something had broken, if I'd seen an error message along the way, it'd seen error, download log, or cancelled or failed, then I'd have logged on to directly onto the host and reverted that snapshot and tried the procedure again. And we may have just jumped the gun a bit here, and services probably are still initializing, I think. And it probably come back and turn around and say bad password. Okay, no, I'm wrong. Okay, we are slowly getting there. If you start to see weird things happening, then that's usually because the services are starting. Okay, so there are expiring licenses. Big X out of that. Of course, this is where we left off, where we were looking at the snapshot. Often, you may actually see a couple of error messages on the initial startup of vCenter server. One, you may actually see a message about memory exhaustion. You may also see virtual machine CPU usage error message. These are normal observations when you start up vCenter server from the start. Certainly after 15 to 30 minutes, you will see those messages disappear. So finally, there's one thing for me to do, is to delete the snapshot. We no longer need the snapshot anymore. So I'm going to delete all the snapshots. I'm going to say delete all, and that's going to delete the snapshot. There's no need for me to revert the snapshot. And as you've probably just seen there whilst we've actually been talking, that CPU exhaustion message has disappeared as well. Okay, so that's it. That's quite simply summary how we update vCenter server 7. We've got the CPU exhaustion message there. So that's how we update vCenter server 7 brackets appliance using the VAMI interface. And you may remember before that we had a little update button there that we clicked update. And we can click updates there now, and we can have a little look at the update planner. We won't see any updates because we're now running the latest and the greatest 7.03UE. So that's it in this video. In post, I'll speed all that up because I'm sure that you don't want to be watching it for 42 minutes whilst we do an upgrade. So thanks very much again for watching. It's always a pleasure. If you have any questions, by the way, please drop them under the article, or please post them on in the VMware topic area, and we can discuss your issues or problems. We've got a lot more interesting videos to come. As I've touched on, we're going to start looking at NFS shared storage. We're going to start looking at EVC. We're going to start looking at clusters. All fun stuff. Storage vMotion, creating VM kernel port groups for NFS traffic, jumbo frames. So all these lovely jubbly things to come in the future. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, and come back soon. Thanks very much, all the best, and goodbye for